Welcome to BL Stories, where romance, drama, and unforgettable boys' love come to life. Love knows no limits, and the best stories aren't always straight. Subscribe now and join our growing BL-loving family. Chapter 14. Boys, can you please hurry up? My mom called from downstairs. I tossed my backpack at Derek's chest. Even with his hands already full, he caught it. He shot me a look, but he didn't say anything. He still owed me for last night. It had been unplanned, complicated, and a mix of wanting and not wanting. I had given in to my feelings. Derek was hard to resist. There was something about him that drew me in, even if his constant smirk made me want to roll my eyes. "Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed?" he teased, raising a brow. I glared. "No. I woke up on the wrong bed," I corrected sharply. His jaw dropped. "You're harsh today." "I'm just in a mood, okay? Leave me alone," I muttered, heading out of the room. "You'd better not stay grumpy at the park. I want to have fun, not babysit you," he warned. I ignored him, heading downstairs. Mom smiled when she saw Derek carrying my things. He'd basically become my butler for the day. "Ready?" she asked. I nodded. The rented van was waiting outside. Nicole and Kate were already arguing in the back seat. Ryan and Stefan were in the front with my grandparents, so the middle row was left for Derek and me. Steve sat in the passenger seat, which meant Mom was driving. "Great weather today," Derek muttered as we walked to the van. "Wonderful," I said flatly. I climbed in and slid to the far end of the seat. Derek tossed our bags down beside me and sat close. "Ever been to a water park, Leo?" Derek asked. "No," I admitted. From the back seat, Kate shouted something loud and unnecessary, making Nicole laugh. I clenched my jaw and put on my headphones, trying to drown them out. The sun poured through the window, warm and bright. Derek was right. It was a beautiful day. Slowly, I reached over the bags between us and slipped my hand into his. His head turned sharply, and I caught a small smile from the corner of my eye. Could I really make him happy? My feelings were a mess, strong but uncertain. Did Derek care for me in a way that would last? I wished I could read his thoughts. "I love you," he mouthed. My heart skipped, butterflies fluttering wildly. That nervous, dizzying feeling hit me again, but I liked it. "I love you too," I mouthed back. The rest of the ride was long and chaotic. Nicole and Kate sang over my music, kicked my seat, and poked at me until Mom had to brake suddenly to keep them from climbing over the rows. Typical. Finally, the water park came into view. It was massive, colorful slides towering in every direction. I grimaced. Maybe it was the thought of thousands of people sharing the same water, but water parks weren't my favorite. Still, if Derek was going, then I'd follow him anywhere. When we reached the lot, Derek grabbed my bag before I could, swinging it over his shoulder. "Thanks," I muttered. He just grinned, making my cheeks warm. The parents led the way inside, and we trailed behind. Derek suddenly pulled off his shirt, catching me off guard. Whether he meant to tease me or not, it worked. The park was enormous. Nicole, Kate, and I raced ahead to claim a spot with chairs before anyone else. By the time the rest of the family caught up, we were already stretched out in the sun. Derek blocked my sunlight, arms crossed. "Move," I ordered. "You're not gonna come with us?" He motioned to Stefan and Ryan. "Funny." "No," I said, lowering my sunglasses again. "You girls are no fun," he complained before finally walking off with the others. I peeked after him, catching myself staring longer than I should. Kate nudged me. "Come with us. Let's explore." Reluctantly, I went along. The tallest slide in the park caught our eyes immediately. It spiraled through the air and even dipped underground. Terrifying but amazing. Nicole spotted the boys across the way. Derek waved at me, blowing a kiss when no one else was looking. I couldn't help it. I smiled and blushed. That one small gesture made my nerves spark with joy. Soon, the boys caught up with us in line. Derek wrapped an arm around me casually, leaning on the railing. My heart thudded nervously, but deep down, I didn't want him to let go. "You look really good in that sleeveless shirt and hat," Derek said with a grin. Did he really just say that out loud, with Stefan and Ryan right next to us? Judging by the quick look of regret on his face, yes. I couldn't help but be amused. At least this time, I wasn't the one who slipped. Kate jumped in quickly. If you tell anyone about Derek and Leo, you'll regret it. Got it? Her voice was firm, and her eyes narrowed. She was surprisingly good at sounding intimidating. Stefan raised his hands in surrender. Hey, no problem here. It doesn't bother me. Ryan pretended not to hear, but I knew he was filing it away for later. He had that look, the one that said he might use it against me someday. That's just how he was, the kid everyone found a little too mischievous. Kate, though, was the big sister everyone listened to. Her word carried weight, and that worked in my favor. Still, keeping a relationship secret was exhausting. Love was hard enough, but hiding it from your parents, especially when your boyfriend was literally sleeping in the same house, made it even harder. Some people thought I should just tell Mom. She'd probably accept me. Kate had already paved the way for that, but it wasn't just about being gay. It was about Derek being my stepbrother. That part was complicated. How often do you see that? Even without blood ties, people wouldn't understand. They'd see it as strange, maybe even wrong. But I loved him. I really did. Enough to run away with him if it came to that. By the time we reached the top of the slide, my stomach was in knots. The whole park stretched out below us. It felt like standing on top of the world. And Derek, of course, was right beside me. The ride looked terrifying, higher than any I'd ever seen, twisting like a roller coaster. My nerves spiked. What if the slide broke under me? What if I embarrassed myself? What if everything went wrong? Kate went first, disappearing into the tunnel with a wave. Nicole followed, screaming the whole way down. Then it was my turn. I peeked over the edge. Oh no. Nope. This is way too high. What if I'm having a heart attack? I pressed a hand to my chest, feeling my pulse race. Derek, I think this is it. Goodbye. The lifeguard blew his whistle sharply, making me jump. Come on, move it, he barked. Scared. Derek teased with a raised eyebrow. I could die, I whispered dramatically. You're not going to die. Just let go, you'll be fine, he reassured me. I shot him a glare. If I don't make it, I'm haunting you. He smirked as if daring me. With people behind me getting impatient, I finally pushed off. My scream echoed through the tunnel as the water rushed me down. The slide twisted and turned in the dark, each corner making my stomach flip. My heart pounded, but slowly, surprisingly, I started to enjoy it. The final drop sent me crashing into the pool below, spinning underwater like a ragdoll before resurfacing, gasping for air. Leo, hurry, come on. Nicole and Kate shouted, waving frantically from the side. I swam toward them, half laughing, half relieved. We bolted off together, ignoring the lifeguards calling for us to stop running. Of course, we slipped and fell flat, all three of us groaning in pain before bursting into laughter again. That hurt. Nicole yelped. Everything hurts. Kate groaned. I think I broke my elbow, I added dramatically, clutching my arm. We laughed until our stomachs ached, then ran off again. Let's try the lazy river, Nicole suggested at last. Perfect, Kate and I agreed. Soon, the three of us were floating on giant inflatable rings, letting the slow current carry us. Sunlight shimmered on the water as we relaxed. For once, it felt calm. So, Nicole said slyly, how are you and Derek doing? We're fine, I answered simply. Kate smirked. Just fine. Just fine. They exchanged a look, both raising their brows. You guys are impossible, I sighed, leaning back on my float. They laughed but didn't push further. Instead, we drifted along quietly, the sun warm on our skin and the water cool beneath us. For a moment, everything felt perfect. I hadn't expected America to feel like this. Fun, chaotic, full of memories I'd actually want to keep. Maybe, just maybe, this was where I belonged. Because of Derek, the idea of moving away felt impossible. He was my first real love, and a part of me believed it could last, that maybe first love could become forever. We were young, sure, but not as foolish as people assumed. I wanted the day to come when we could be open, when I could hold him without worrying who might see. I hoped my family would support us soon, before our situation became harder for them to accept. I'm kind of hungry, I said as my stomach grumbled. Do you guys want? Something heavy splashed down on me and pushed me underwater. I came up coughing and gasping, eyes stinging, chest tight. Derek's laugh cut through the noise. Then he saw my face and his smile vanished. He wrapped his arms around me. I'm so sorry, he whispered, rubbing my back while I caught my breath. I hate you, I managed, half annoyed, half relieved. I didn't think. I'm sorry, he said again, sounding guilty. Kate lifted her head on her float. What happened? She asked lazily as the lazy river carried us along. Water sloshed in my stomach. I burped quietly and felt a little better. Nicole smirked. Derek, just apologize properly and he'll forgive you, she teased. I nudged her float so it tipped and she shrieked, then laughed. Derek slipped behind me, guiding our tubes together and holding me close in the current. He pressed a quick, apologetic kiss to my cheek and kept his voice low. I'm really sorry. Let me make it up to you later. Shut up, I muttered, though I leaned back against him anyway. Yes, sir, he said softly, a smile in his voice. His arm around me settled the ache in my ribs. He must have landed on me with an elbow. I was starting to relax when pounding footsteps made us look up. Stefan ran over, breathless and wide-eyed. Derek. I'm really sorry, but Ryan told your parents. Cold spread through me like ice water. He told them. I should have seen it coming. Kate slid off her float and touched my shoulder. Hey, whatever happens, we've got you, she said firmly. We'll back you up. I didn't want to face anyone. But there wasn't another option, unless I planned to run and never come back. It was time. Chapter 15. Can we just run away now? I whispered. We don't have to go back to our parents. We were tucked in the men's changing area, out of sight. Derek held me, steady and calm. I, on the other hand, felt like my nerves had chewed up all the oxygen in my lungs. It'll be okay, he said, rubbing my shoulders, repeating it like a mantra, maybe more for himself than for me. We loved each other. That was true. But what our parents decided tonight could shape everything. If they separated us, they might ship me back to Italy. And still, I believed, somehow, someday, we'd find our way back to each other. Let's try to enjoy what's left of today, I said. Then, if we have to, we pack and go together. He huffed a small laugh. I never know when you're serious. Oh, I'm serious, I said, managing a smile. He tucked his face into my neck. I love you. I love you too, I whispered. We kept our distance in public the rest of the day, but the weight of not knowing followed us everywhere. By the time we met at the exit, our parents were waiting with our bags. I scanned for Ryan, ready to give him a piece of my mind, but he was already in the van, hiding. Derek and I stood oceans apart. I felt Mom watching me. I stared straight ahead and kept walking. When we reached the van and I took a step toward Ryan, Mom's arm slid across my chest. Don't, she said quietly but firmly. What? I asked, too defensive too fast. You know what? We're going to have a long talk when we get home. My mouth went dry. Parental talks were never good. I sank into the back row and pulled a towel over me, trying to keep my face from betraying the turmoil inside. I couldn't break down. Not yet. The sky had already turned dark by the time we pulled up to the house. Everyone filed out. I lagged behind, staring at the front door like it was a finish line I didn't want to cross. Grandma smiled at me on her way in. She probably didn't know yet. For a second, that smile felt like a lifeline. Leonardo. Now. Mom's voice cut through the hallway, sharper than I'd ever heard it. Steve guided Derek in the opposite direction. It looked like each parent had decided to talk to their own kid, separately. My heart hammered. I knew this moment would come. I just didn't expect it so soon. Time to face it. By the time I stepped into my mom's room, I was already crying. Tears streamed down my face as though the world had ended. My chest was tight, my heart raced, and I felt like I could hardly breathe. Why are you crying? Mom's voice startled me when she entered, shutting the door and turning the lock. I turned away, one hand covering my face, embarrassed by the emotions pouring out of me. When she saw me like that, her expression softened, almost as if she felt my pain herself. "Why are you crying?" she asked again, this time gently. I couldn't answer, just shook my head. "You're not in trouble, Leo. We just need to talk," she said softly, patting the bed beside her. "Come on, sit with me." I perched on the far edge, keeping my back partly turned, afraid it was a trap. "But I can't help it," I stammered through sobs. "Help what? Don't make me say it." "You can tell me anything," she reminded me. "You don't have to be afraid of me." I scoffed, though it came out shaky. "You sure about that? Because when you yelled, 'Leonardo,' now, that didn't exactly sound comforting." She chuckled faintly. "I'm sorry. It's a mom thing. Think of it like a tiger's roar, meant to protect, not to scare. Except you were roaring at me to come closer to the danger, which is you," I muttered. "Leo," she sighed, her voice breaking. And suddenly, the truth tumbled out of me. "Mom, I love him." Her silence was worse than shouting. My heart pounded, waiting, terrified. Would she break us apart? Send me away? Finally, she spoke, "And that's okay." I looked at her. Our eyes locked, and I saw her love shining through. Relief washed over me, warm and steady. I wiped my face. "So, you don't care that I like guys instead of girls?" Her tone sharpened. "Leonardo." "What? I'm not 5, I muttered. She softened again. "Listen, whether you love a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. What matters to me is your safety. I was worried about how close you and Derek have been, and I just don't want you hurt. You're still so young and people can be cruel." Her voice cracked, and tears slipped down her cheeks. "Why are you crying?" I whispered. "I'm the one terrified of losing him." She pulled me into a hug. "You are not going to lose him. And you are not going to hell. You're my son, and I will always love you." I sniffled. "So, are you okay with me and Derek?" "I'm fine with it, honey. I just wish you trusted me sooner." "Why didn't you?" "Fear," I admitted quietly. "I didn't want to be sent back to Italy." Her face fell. "Why would you think I'd ever do that? I'm your mom. Nothing could change my love for you." We both laughed a little when she reminded me of the times she'd let me dress however I wanted. "I was so proud then," she said. "I love you, Mom," I whispered. "I love you too, Leo," she replied. I hesitated, then asked, "Do you think Steve will be okay with Derek?" She nodded slowly. "I think so. Steve loves his kids. He'll need time, but he'll come around." I smiled faintly. "Derek's very gay for me," I teased, earning a playful smack on the arm. We talked a little more. I told her how safe I felt with Derek, how I couldn't imagine life without him. She reminded me of when she first fell in love with my father. And for the first time, I believed she truly understood me. Later that night, the sound of the front door slamming jolted us. My stomach dropped. "Where's Derek?" I asked frantically, running through the house. "He took his car and left," Kate said softly. "But what happened?" She only shook her head. The look in her eyes told me everything. It hadn't gone well with his dad. The thought of Derek hurt, alone, broke me inside. We belonged together. His pain was my pain. I tried calling, but he didn't answer. So I went after him. Mom yelled that it was too dangerous to go out at night, but I couldn't stay. Somehow, I knew exactly where he'd be. The walk up the hill felt endless, my legs burning, but I pressed on. I needed to find him. And there he was. His car parked beneath a tree, his figure silhouetted against the city lights. My heart leapt. But he looked so sad. I'd never seen him like that before. Quietly, I crept closer, hoping to catch him by surprise. "What are you doing here, Leo?" Derek asked calmly. I sighed, disappointed I couldn't sneak up on him. It was like he had eyes in the back of his head. "What do you think I'm doing here?" I replied, moving closer until I stood beside him. He frowned. "I don't know. That's why I asked." "Well," I hesitated, then smiled faintly. "I remembered you once brought me here, after we first met. You said you used to come with your mom to talk and get away from everything. I knew this would be the place you'd go. He nodded slowly. So why are you really here? Because you left so suddenly, I admitted, staring out at the city lights below. I got worried. I needed to see you. I love you, Derek. And if you're hurting, I want to be here with you. So, tell me what happened. Derek's jaw tightened. What do you think happened? My dad didn't accept it. He doesn't like that I'm gay. He doesn't like that we're together. My heart dropped. This is my fault. He turned sharply. Stop. Don't say that. It's not your fault. It feels like it is. Ryan told on us because of me. I should have stopped you that night at the party, when you first kissed me. I knew it would cause trouble. Leo, stop, Derek said firmly, his voice rising. Don't you dare blame yourself. I wanted to kiss you. That was my choice. It's never been your fault. It was mine. I bit my tongue to keep from arguing further. My stubbornness was always hard to hide. But, I whispered, didn't I somehow make you this way? Derek's eyes softened. Leo, you can't make someone gay. I've always been this way. Remember when I told you my mom and I used to come here and talk? Yeah, I said quietly. She already knew. She accepted me completely. His voice cracked slightly. She was the only one who did. I just wish she were here now. She'd know what to say. Tears stung my eyes. That's beautiful, Derek. Painful, but beautiful. He gave a sad laugh. Yeah. We used to talk about everything, even boys. She was my safe place. I reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. I know no one can replace her, but you can borrow my mom. She cares about you too. She'll talk to Steve, help him understand. And it will be okay. We will be okay. He held my hand tightly, and though he didn't look at me right away, I felt the warmth of his trust. Not every story has a happy ending, he whispered. Then we'll make ours one, I said firmly. We don't let others finish our story, we write it ourselves. A small smile tugged at his lips. So, what did your mom say? He asked. I rolled my eyes. That Derek and I can't share a bed because she thinks something will happen. That's her biggest worry, out of everything. Can you believe it? Derek chuckled and pulled me into his chest. Did you tell her that what we share isn't about that? It's love? I gasped. No, but that would have been the perfect thing to say. He laughed softly, holding me tighter. We stayed like that for what felt like forever, just listening to music from his car and feeling safe in each other's arms. We should probably head back before my mom calls the police, I said eventually. I don't want to, he murmured against my hair, his body warm against mine. Are you afraid? I asked quietly. Afraid of what? Of going back to your dad. I'm only afraid of him trying to separate us, he admitted. My mom won't let that happen, I reassured him. They may struggle at first, but in the end, love wins. We just need to give them time. He smiled faintly. If not, we still have the option to run away together. I laughed nervously. Don't tempt me. Mom would kill me. We'll be fine, Leo, Derek said, his tone soft but certain. I love you too much to ever let anyone come between us. And I love you, I whispered, leaning closer. He kissed me gently, our lips curving into smiles against each other. Wrapped in his arms, I felt untouchable. Nothing, not our parents, not Ryan, not the world, could break us apart. Leo, he whispered. Yes. Happy early birthday. I smiled again, tears pricking my eyes, but this time they were happy ones. Chapter 16. Holding Derek in my arms was the safest, most comfortable feeling in the world. How could love, real love, ever be wrong? What kind of hurt could make someone see it as something shameful? Weeks passed after my family returned to Italy. My cousin was grounded for what felt like a lifetime, and Kate made it her mission to keep him in check. Still, Derek and I couldn't be left alone for even a minute without someone peeking in, suspicious. Did the adults really think all teenagers were reckless the moment they were unsupervised? I just wanted to spend time with the boy I loved, not prove to the world that we could behave. Derek had changed. His smile appeared less often, his words grew quieter, and the weight he carried was too heavy for me to reach through. It made me ache inside. I wanted to comfort him, to remind him he wasn't alone, but the constant watchful eyes made it nearly impossible. The only time we felt free was at school. Strange, right? But within those walls, we were just students. No one suspected. No one judged. And when I looked at Derek, I knew anyone could see it in my eyes, that I loved him. Purely, completely. And when he looked back at me, I saw the same. We loved each other. That was all that mattered. It's worth it, Derek, I told him one day during lunch. We sat on the floor of an empty hallway, his back against the lockers, my legs stretched across his while I leaned close. I know, he whispered, resting his forehead gently against mine. Your dad will come around, I said softly. He shook his head. I don't know. Once he decides something, it's set. Maybe not until we're grown adults. Maybe not until he's gone. That's how stubborn he is. I squeezed his hand. He can't control your heart. Who you are is who you've always been. And no one, not even your dad, can change that. His eyes flickered with worry. What if this ruins everything between him and your mom? What if they separate because of us? You'd have to move and I'd lose you. I touched his cheek lightly. Stop. Don't think like that. Give it time. Slowly it will get better. I don't want it to be slow, he admitted, his voice breaking. I want to hold you, kiss you, and not feel like the world sees me as something wrong. I leaned closer. You already are my boyfriend. Nothing anyone says can change that. He puffed his cheeks, trying to look serious but only managing to look adorable. I love you. I smiled. I love you more. He chuckled. Deal, we'll argue about it tomorrow. That afternoon, Derek had football practice, so I walked home alone. When I came in, little Molly was on the carpet playing with her dollhouse while her nanny kept an eye on her from the kitchen. Apparently, even after school, we still couldn't be trusted alone. I joined Molly on the floor. Hey, what's going on here? It's Susan's birthday party, she giggled, handing me a doll. I lifted the Barbie to my face. Hello, Susan. She loves cake, ice cream, and candy, Molly explained proudly. Sounds like she has a sweet tooth, I said. She eats a lot, but she's still beautiful, Molly insisted. Her innocence made me smile. She was right. Beauty was more than appearances. We played together until Derek stormed in, sweaty from practice, slamming the door behind him. He froze when he saw me on the floor with dolls balanced on my shoulders. I'm a human horse carrying princesses to their castle, I explained quickly. He shook his head and marched upstairs. I'll be right back, Molly, I whispered, then darted up the stairs. His door was closed. For a moment I hesitated, then turned the knob anyway. I was his boyfriend. I didn't need permission to care about him. The sound of the shower ran from the bathroom. I sank into his bed, burying my face in his pillow, wrapping myself in his blanket. Everything smelled like him. Comfort. When the bathroom door finally opened, Derek stepped out, shirtless in gym shorts, rubbing his hair with a towel. He froze when he saw me. What are you doing here? He asked, tossing the towel onto a chair. I grinned, feeling like a rebel. He sighed. Leo, you're going to get in trouble. Haven't you noticed? I'm way past caring, I said, trying to joke but sounding more fragile than I meant to. Well, you can borrow some of my worries then, he muttered. But seriously, please leave. My jaw dropped. What? You don't want me here? His eyes softened. Are you crying? No, I said quickly, blinking too fast. This is just my face. Leo, I need some time alone. Please. I raised a brow. Do you want me to actually cry? Because that's where this is headed. No, he said firmly. Then why are you acting this way? Normally you'd be happy I risked sneaking in just to see you. Why are you pushing me away now? What happened? Tell me. Nothing happened, he mumbled. Nothing? I don't believe that. Leo, just drop it. Drop it? Onto the floor? I tried to make him smile, but he didn't. Leo. What? Don't shut me out like I'm just anyone else. I'm not everyone, I'm yours. Talk to me. He walked over to his desk and tugged on a shirt, his movements stiff and heavy. He usually stayed shirtless around me, teasing without even realizing it. But now, he was different. "Who are you, and what have you done with my boyfriend?" I asked, half laughing, half terrified. Silence. And then, words I never thought I'd hear. "Leo, I don't think we should date anymore." The room spun. Did I hear him wrong? I couldn't have. Derek wouldn't say that. My brain scrambled for another explanation. Stress, fear, maybe even a cruel joke. Anything but the truth. "What?" was all I managed. My voice cracked, hollow and broken. "Please, Leo," he said, this time more firmly. "Just leave." Air filled my lungs, but it felt poisoned. His words echoed like knives, cutting deeper with each replay in my head. Derek had broken up with me. Chapter 17. Derek's point of view. Something felt off all day. Maybe it was just my restless mind, but every hallway seemed to close in on me, every open door still felt like a dead end. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. By the time last period rolled around, whispers spread like wildfire. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then I heard his name. My stomach tightened. The quiet conversations grew louder until I felt surrounded. I told myself it wasn't possible, that people couldn't know. But life has a way of hitting you when you least expect it. At the locker room, after the final bell, I went straight to the gym for football practice. Nothing special, we weren't the best team. Most of the guys only cared about the uniform or the attention from the stands. I was in the locker room when it started. "Hey, Derek. You got a minute?" Felix called from across the room, stuffing clothes into his locker. "What is it?" I asked flatly. He hesitated, then asked, "Is it true?" "Is what true?" "Come on, man. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone's saying it." He lowered his voice. "Are you with your stepbrother?" The words hit me like a punch. "I don't have a brother," I muttered. It wasn't exactly a denial. I should have just said no. But fear and pride tangled inside me. We're all afraid in one way or another of being judged for who we are. Still, I wasn't ashamed of being myself. I just didn't want Leo dragged into this mess. He was already the shy, quiet new guy with barely any friends. People would tear him apart. How would anyone even know? I thought. Our relationship was private. "Stepbrother," then Felix pressed. "It's still wrong, isn't it? You're saying you know." "I'm not a label," I said firmly. "I'm a person." He frowned. "So, you admit it? That you're with him?" I steadied myself. "Leo isn't gay. He has a girlfriend. So, people need to stop spreading lies." I shut my locker, trying to stay calm even though I burned inside. Felix called after me. "You didn't answer my question." I looked down at the floor. My voice was quiet but steady. "You want to know if I'm gay?" "Yeah, but I'm not with Leo. He's straight. So, everyone can just drop it." Of course, it didn't end there. Felix was only the beginning. Soon in the halls, questions came from everywhere. People pressed in, hungry for gossip. "I'm gay." "No, Leo's not. Leave us alone." I said it again and again until my throat hurt. But the rumors didn't stop. I just wanted to go home. To see Leo smile, to hold him and forget the world existed. I wanted him to tell me it would be okay, that my dad would come around, that nobody could tear us apart. But I also knew reality. High school wasn't kind. Bullies, or just plain cruel people, existed everywhere. And if they thought Leo was like me, the whispers would turn into attacks. He was strong in ways, but vulnerable in others. I couldn't let him become their target. So, I made a decision. From now on, Leo would have to play the part. He'd be straight. He'd spend time with Nicole. And I'd carry the weight of the rumors alone. It wasn't fair, but it was the only way to protect him. At home. By the time I got home, the weight of it all had nearly crushed me. I wanted to smile when I saw Leo on the floor, playing with my little sister, making her laugh. He looked so full of life. But then I remembered the whispers, the stares, the accusations. My heart clenched. I gave him a strange look, brushed past his explanation about being a human horse carrying princesses, and stormed upstairs. I needed space. I needed a plan. How could I tell Leo that, for now, we couldn't be seen together the way we wanted? How could I explain that this was the only way to keep him safe? I turned on the shower, letting the water pour over me, hoping it would wash away the anger, the fear, and the ache in my chest. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't. Once I was clean and fresh from the shower, I stepped into my room, towel in hand, only to find Leo sitting on my bed. My heart jumped. Was he out of his mind? The nanny and Molly were downstairs. He could get us both in trouble. "What are you doing here?" I asked, drying my face and tossing the towel onto the spare bed. "Feeling like a rebel," he said with a mischievous grin. I sighed. "Leo, you're going to get caught. Have you not noticed?" "I'm past caring," he said, stubborn as ever. "Well, I care enough for both of us. Please, just go before someone sees you." He tilted his head, hurt flickering in his eyes. "What? You don't want me here?" "Leo," I started, but I could see his eyes glisten. Are you crying?" I asked softly. "No. This is just my face," he muttered. "Leo, I just need a little time to think. That's all." "Then why are you pushing me away? You're usually happy when I take risks just to see you. What's changed? Tell me what happened." "Nothing happened," I mumbled, though the weight in my chest told another story. "Nothing? I don't believe that." "Leo, drop it." He crossed his arms. "Don't shut me out. I'm not everyone else, I'm yours. So talk to me." I slipped on a shirt, trying to hide the turmoil inside. He deserved the truth, but how could I explain? If it were up to Leo, we'd face the world hand in hand, no matter the cost. But I'd grown up here. I knew how cruel people could be. And I couldn't risk him being hurt. "Leo, I don't think we should date anymore," I said finally. The lie burned in my throat. My whole body went cold, but I forced myself to keep my expression still. His face broke. "What?" Before I could explain, I heard faint movement outside the door. My heart sank. The nanny. She was listening. I couldn't take it back, not with her right there. If she suspected the truth, she'd tell our parents. "Please, just go," I said firmly, trying to send him a silent message. Leo didn't understand. He never did when it came to hiding us. But at last, he left, his eyes full of hurt that cut straight through me. When the door shut behind him, I wanted to scream. Why did everything have to be so complicated? Why did it matter to anyone else who I loved? That night, Leo didn't come down for dinner. His mom thought he was sick, but when she knocked on his door, he just muttered something to make her leave him alone. I knew better. He was heartbroken, and it was my fault. Later that night, once the house was quiet and everyone was asleep, I slipped out of my room. I made a small plate of food for him in the kitchen and crept across the hall. His door was locked, but I managed to get it open. He was curled beneath his blanket, his back to me. I set the plate down gently. "How did you get in?" he asked coldly. I sighed. "This is my house, Leo. Locks don't stop me." "Then why are you here?" he asked. "You broke up with me." I sat on the edge of his bed. "Leo, don't Leo me. You should leave." "I'm not going anywhere," I said firmly. He let out a frustrated breath, ready to yell, but I leaned close, lowering my voice. "Please don't. Just listen." I looked into his tearful eyes. "I love you. I didn't mean what I said earlier. It wasn't real. The nanny was outside my door, and I had to make her believe we broke up. If she thought we were together, she would have told our parents. I was protecting us." He frowned. "Why pretend at all? Hardly anyone even knows about us." I told him everything. The whispers at school, the questions in the locker room, the way the rumors spread. I explained that I could handle being out, but I couldn't let him be dragged into it. "I don't care what they say," Leo argued. "I don't want to hide. I want to be with you." "Leo, you don't understand. I've lived here my whole life. I know what people are capable of. They could hurt you." "Then let them," he said quietly. My heart ached. "No, I won't let anyone lay a hand on you. Ever." I cupped his cheek gently. He softened, though his stubbornness never fully left. "You're so frustrating," he whispered, leaning against me. "So unbelievably frustrating. "But I love you." "I love you too," I murmured. We sat in silence for a while, holding on to each other, both knowing the road ahead would be hard. But for that moment, in the dark, with the world asleep, it was just us. And that was enough. Chapter 18. Leo's point of view. Who could possibly have known about Derek and me? I still hoped it was all just assumptions, because we were inseparable, and inseparable people are often assumed to be more than friends. But why would anyone think two stepbrothers were secretly together? How did that rumor even start? Of course, Derek and I weren't real brothers, and that small detail seemed to open doors for gossip. If we were blood-related, maybe no one would even imagine such a thing. As much as it hurt to admit it, I knew it would feel very different if we had been related. But we weren't, and my heart loved him. Because of all this drama, I now had a girlfriend. It wasn't real, of course, but Derek insisted it was safer that way. I hated the plan. It was ridiculous and exhausting, but I understood his reasoning. Things around here weren't exactly kind to people who were different. Still, pretending meant I had to stop talking to Derek in public altogether. At home, we already had to keep our distance because of our parents. Now, the same rule applied everywhere. It hurt more than anything. Nicole tried to help by playing the part, but even she knew it wasn't working. I could barely concentrate at school. I felt like the world was against us. The following weekend, my mom insisted we all go out together as a family. We ended up at some animated movie, but I couldn't focus at all. Derek sat just 2 seats away, with Nicole placed right between us like a wall. It felt like our parents were deliberately trying to keep us apart. The next day wasn't much better. Steve kept watching me closely while Derek and I sat on the couch, flipping through TV shows. What did he think we'd do? Make a scene in the living room? It was frustrating. They didn't trust us at all. By Monday, Derek's plan had begun to unravel. At lunch, we tried sneaking away separately to eat together in an empty classroom. Those stolen moments were the only times we could really talk, hold hands, or share a quick kiss before the bell. But people weren't convinced by my relationship with Nicole. Maybe I didn't look at her the way I looked at Derek, because I couldn't fake that kind of love. That's when the person behind it all finally stepped forward. His name was Marcus Thai, but everyone just called him Thai. He was the same guy who had harassed us at the Pride Festival, throwing insults. Back then, Derek had stood up for me, even though it left us vulnerable. Now, Thai had taken that memory and spread it like wildfire through the football team, and from there, the entire school. At lunch, Thai marched right up to Nicole and me and called us out in front of everyone. The cafeteria went silent. Nicole, furious, didn't even hesitate. She stepped forward and punched Thai square in the face. Gasps echoed through the room. After all, not every day does a girl take down a football player. "You don't disrespect me or Leo," she growled. But before I could even breathe, someone shoved her to the ground, and suddenly, hands were on me. My hair was yanked back, and I was slammed against a table. Pain burned down my neck and shoulders. Everything blurred. I couldn't even process what was happening, only that I was being attacked. "Leave him alone." Nicole's voice rang out, fierce and desperate. Through the chaos, I saw Derek fighting to get to me, his face full of fear and fury. But there were too many people. I was struck more than once, I couldn't tell by who. My body ached, but in the middle of the pain, all I could see was Derek's face. That image kept me steady. Even in that moment, love was stronger than fear. Finally, Thai and his friends backed off, leaving me on the ground, trembling and broken. I cried, "I won't lie." And when Derek finally reached me, he pulled me into his arms and whispered that everything would be okay, that he'd fix this somehow. Nicole returned with the principal in tow. Derek helped me to a bench, his hands steady on my shoulder. But his anger didn't fade. "Is this really how you run a school?" he demanded. The principal, who, ironically, was Vicky's father, looked both stern and regretful. He promised justice would be served, that Thai would be suspended and banned from the team. But Derek wasn't convinced. "No, I'm taking him home. I can't trust a school that lets this happen. Students should never have to be afraid to be themselves." I tried to tell him it was okay, that I'd be fine, but he refused to hear it. No, it's not okay. Let's go home. He wrapped his arm around my waist, guiding me out. People stared as we left, whispering, snapping pictures, but we didn't care. Let them stare. Let them talk. At home. Derek drove us home, the wind whipping against my face. His jaw was tight, his grip on the wheel fierce. I could tell how angry and protective he was, and in a strange way, that comforted me. Even in my pain, I caught myself thinking how lucky I was to have him. When we finally got back, Derek shut the door hard behind us and broke down. This time, it was my turn to comfort him. I held him close and told him the same words he had told me earlier. Everything was going to be all right. Because as long as we had each other, I believed it. Leo's point of view. I'm just so tired of this, Derek said, pacing the room. I'm tired of pretending what we have isn't real. I'm tired of people judging. I'm tired of Dad trying to control me. What does it matter if I love you? Does it hurt him? Does it hurt his relationship with your mom? Why can't I have the same freedom he does? He's not even religious, so what's the big deal? Everyone has their own way of seeing the world, I answered softly. Your dad just hasn't learned to see ours yet. Derek sank onto the couch, shoulders heavy. Yeah, but he's stubborn. And so are you, I teased, curling up beside him and resting my legs across his lap. I stared into his stormy blue eyes until his gaze softened. He touched my chin gently, his smile tugging at the corner of his lips. How much time does he need to see that I'm happy with you? I swatted his hand playfully. That sounded pretty cheesy. I don't care, he chuckled. I'm cheesy for you. I rolled my eyes but smiled. I know. You say it like everyone says it to you and you're tired of hearing it, he teased. Yes, well, I sighed dramatically, leaning my head on his shoulder. I am the king of the world. He laughed. I was sure you'd call yourself the queen, but I guess I was wrong. I nudged him. Just wait a couple more years. I'll be taller and stronger than you. Why a couple of years? I'm still growing. You're 17, he corrected. Oh, still not used to that. His smile returned, brighter than ever. I see you growing every day, and it makes me happy that I get to witness it. I raised an eyebrow. So, you don't think I'm grown now? Never mind. Don't answer that, I muttered before he could dig himself deeper. He brushed his fingers lightly over the bruise on my forehead. How are you feeling? I want you to stand up to them, I said honestly. I will, he replied, his voice low and steady. My eyes widened at his tone. Wait, you're not planning anything reckless, are you? Violence isn't the answer. But he only stood, grabbed a glass of water in the kitchen, and downed it in silence. Even that simple act made my heart squeeze. Why did he have to look so calm and determined all at once? They won't get away with this, he finally said, heading upstairs. I groaned and followed him, ignoring the unspoken rule about not being in his room. You're starting to sound intense, I warned. Maybe I am, he replied. Forgive me for wanting to protect the people I love. Letting them walk away means they'll think it's okay to keep hurting others. And it's not. Before I could respond, he turned toward me and pressed his lips against mine. His words melted into the kiss. I love you so much. I pulled back slightly, my voice shaky. I love you too. Derek. We both jumped apart, startled. I stumbled so far back I nearly knocked into his dresser. Derek's dad stood in the doorway, his expression hard as stone. Derek's shirt was on the floor, both of us were flushed and breathless, and the misunderstanding was clear. Don't you know how to knock? Derek snapped. The door was wide open, his father shot back. What are you even doing here? You're supposed to be at work. I got a call from your school. They said you got into a fight and skipped class. Derek stepped forward, his glare sharp. Is that really what they told you, or just what you wanted to hear? You don't care about the truth. You just want an excuse to get me in trouble. His dad's eyes narrowed. Because you make it easy. Like father, like son, Derek muttered. The tension was so thick I could hardly breathe. Don't speak to me like that. I am your father, show some respect. And I am your son. Derek fired back. Why don't you respect me? You're the one making this dramatic. You're the one turning my feelings into something shameful. Why don't you just admit what you really think? Steve glanced at me briefly, but Derek pressed on. And for your information, I didn't get into a fight. People attacked Leo. I couldn't even reach him in time. I took him home because enough is enough. We don't deserve this. Not from school, not from you. And for what? Because we love each other? I love him. Do you even know what love is? Because all I see in you is anger. Stop, his father said quietly this time. This is who I am, Derek continued, voice shaking but strong. Mom understood me. She knew before anyone else. She saw me as her son and loved me for who I was. I never told you because I knew you wouldn't accept me. I was afraid it would break what was left of this family. Steve's voice softened. Our family isn't broken. Oh really? Then why is Molly living with Grandma? Why did you send her away after Mom died? Because I couldn't care for her while working full-time, you know that. You wanted to stay busy so you wouldn't have to face us. You pushed us away. Sending Molly to Grandma was the best decision you ever made, for her. But sometimes I wish you had sent me too. For a moment, Derek looked taller than his father, his words steady, his presence unshaken. Watching him, I realized how much strength he carried, not just for me, but from years of fighting battles long before I entered his life. He was my hero, my best friend, my partner. I'm sorry you feel that way, Steve finally said. I'm sorry too, Derek answered, his voice quiet but firm. But nothing you say or do will ever change who I am. If you keep thinking this way, you'll lose Leo's mom the same way you lost mine. The words landed like thunder. Steve said nothing more. He turned and left the room. Hours later, surprisingly, he called back later that night to check on us. That alone shocked both of us. But even more unexpected, he said we could stay home from school for the week while he worked things out with the district. For the first time in a long time, it felt like maybe, just maybe, things were beginning to shift. Leo's point of view. Word spread quickly about our situation, or should I say our story. Derek didn't see it as a problem, but I took everything to heart. To me, it felt like living in a storm. Some classmates had negative things to say, but most didn't really care. Not many people even knew we were stepbrothers, and we left that little detail out. When the news reached my family in Italy, things moved faster than ever. Families have a way of spreading information quicker than anyone else. Soon, everyone knew about me, Derek, and us. To my surprise, most of them were positive. My dad, though, struggled to understand. I knew he had imagined a different future for me, grandchildren, a bride walking down the aisle, traditions I couldn't fulfill in the way he pictured. But in the end, he loved me anyway. He just wanted me to be happy. The only part he wrestled with was the idea of me having a boyfriend. Sometimes, I wondered if he would have felt the same way if he had a daughter. Did coming out suddenly make me that in his eyes? I could have taken offense, but instead I understood it was simply his way of adjusting. One day during our school break, my dad called, not for me, but for Derek. He asked to speak to him directly. I had no idea what they discussed because Derek promised to keep it private. That secrecy stung, and yes, I gave him the silent treatment for an entire minute. Still, things were smoother overall. Being at home all week meant fewer eyes on us. For once, we felt safe. It made me wonder, was this how we'd always have to live? Hidden from the world, simply because some people couldn't mind their own business? The thought was discouraging. But honestly, no school for a week, spent entirely with Derek? I wasn't about to complain. Even our parents started to loosen up. The tension dropped, the constant drama eased. We were allowed to hang out in each other's rooms, as long as the doors stayed open, of course. But with our parents working most of the day, well, doors have a way of closing when no one's around. On Friday, I woke to Derek jumping on me, peppering me with kisses as he laughed at my sleepy protests. His bright blue eyes were the first thing I saw when I blinked awake. I stretched, yawned, and rolled over, knocking him off the bed on purpose. I buried myself into the pillow, sighing happily at the cool side. "Wake up," Derek said, climbing back beside me. It's our last free day before the weekend. Go away, I groaned. Don't you want to do something fun? His voice carried a teasing smile. I'm too tired. Let me sleep, I muttered, pulling the pillows over my head. That's not the kind of fun I meant, he said seriously. We bickered for a few more minutes until I finally gave in. My sleepiness was gone anyway, thanks to him. I grabbed a quick shower and came downstairs, only to find out why he'd been so persistent. He'd made me breakfast. The dining table was covered in food, some homemade, some clearly bought, but I didn't care. What mattered was the effort, the thoughtfulness, and the way his eyes lit up as he watched me take it in. We sat together, eating quietly, exchanging smiles over the plates. And in that simple, ordinary moment, I knew he was the one. Thanks for listening to today's BL story. If it made your heart skip a beat, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Only here on BL Stories, where love knows no limits.